it was just such a challenge, just like, how is this going to work? This pandemic had thrown everything upside down.
Yeah.
The home became the office, the home became a school.
Hello, everyone. My name is Asim Gul, and I'm an integrative nutrition health coach. I welcome you all once again to Back to Basics, a place where we focus on the power of basic lifestyle changes to heal ourselves. COVID-19 pandemic has really changed the way we live, and while a lot of us are still figuring out how to get acclimatized to it, Lisa has her fair share of all the trials and tribulations that came with it. Lisa DiLeonardo has always been passionate about nutrition, fitness, and wellness from a young age. She had her own health struggles, which included gut and digestive issues. She was overweight in high school, suffered from anxiety and panic attacks, and a lot of hormonal imbalances, including Hashimoto's, as she got older. Lisa is a working mom living in New York City with a fast paced career in corporate fashion. Balancing work on top of parenting a 5-year old, she developed burnout and adrenal fatigue from everyday life. Her wellness journey has never been a straight line. However, through trial and error, she found that managing her stress through meditation, getting enough sleep, eating whole foods, and getting in physical activity will set healthy boundaries for her life to be healthier, happier, and more balanced. In the last few years, her passion for health became so strong, she decided to pay it forward and help others in their wellness journey. In 2021, she became a certified health coach from the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, the world's largest nutrition school. She studied a variety of dietary theories and practical lifestyle coaching methods. Now, Lisa is launching her health and wellness coaching business known as Working Girl Wellness, which has a website www.workinggirlwellness.com that is geared towards working professionals and working moms. Her strong emotional intelligence, coupled with her meticulous organizational skills from her years of working in the corporate sector, helps her guiding her clients to form healthy habits, create structure and boundaries around their lives. She understands how to coach, mentor busy individuals, and make living healthy life easy and fun. Thank you, Lisa, for joining us.
Thank you, Asim. It's an honor to be here today.
Great. So tell us about how this pandemic really changed things around for so many working people out there.
So let's go backwards to March of 2020, when the pandemic had hit and we had no idea what we were in for. So at the time, I was working a corporate job in Manhattan, in New York City, and we were all told to work remote for the unforeseeable future. And at the same time, my daughter's school had closed down, and they had told us that we would be doing remote schooling. And my husband also had the same orders to start working from home. So it was just such a challenge, just like, how is this going to work? I had worked from home before, and when I worked from home, I was usually by myself, and it was great. It was like you had quiet, focused time, were able to be in phone calls uninterrupted. And this pandemic had thrown everything upside down.
Yeah.
The home became the office, the home became a school, the home became the lunchroom, and where we make meals, and everything's happening at the same
Under one
time.
roof. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do remember the first day when we had gotten the announcement from New York City that the schools were closed down. I literally was laughing, but I was crying inside because I was just so just overwhelmed on understanding, like, how would we be able to do this? And it's been a journey. It's been really hard. It's a lot of patience, and it's just trying to figure out what works, what works and doesn't work. So it's definitely been a journey.
That's true. So what were your action steps when you were hit so hard by pandemic? Everything was just going haywire. What were your coping strategy while you were struggling with it?
To be honest, there was no coping strategy in the beginning. I mean, I'll just be really transparent. It was, nobody knew really how to handle this. This is not something that anybody or, anybody in history has ever to have dealt with. talking to my mom and, just talking to other people, like you can't get advice from anybody. So I think at that time it was just like, you just have to power through and go through it and just see what works and doesn't work. Lots of trial and error. And so I think, as what we started to see what was working was, sequestering each other to different rooms and having like, some privacy, just so that way we could, I could have my conference calls and, my husband the same and my daughter have that time. But, lots of patience, as well as what I continued to do is I continued to have the same routine that I had, like as if I was working in the city. I still woke up at the same time. I still got dressed at the same time. I actually wake up really early. I wake up before my family, and I wake up at 5 a.m. I know it sounds a little crazy or really early, but I really need that time to get my mindset right. I like to exercise in the morning. I also do meditation to get my head and my mind in the right place. And so that really helped me keep my cool throughout the pandemic.
So when you said like your 5-year-old was also, was she also separated in another room, and she had her school going on? So how was this like during uh, lunch hours or break hours? How did it work?
It's chaos. I can't lie. It was definitely chaotic. My schedule for work consisted of lots of meetings, lots of WebEx calls and lots of connections, like lots of on the fly calls. I work with people in other countries. So sometimes the phone calls are really early in the morning and sometimes late at night. So there's really no distinction between home life and work life. It would kind of just all blend together. There's no like, designated lunchtime. It's like whenever no one has a meeting or a call or homework. So that could be really challenging because every day looks really different. You try to keep to a consistent schedule. I'm very structured. I really like having that, like having to understand what time things are happening and when, and literally that all went out the window. That wasn't something that could really happen on a daily basis. And so, my husband and I had to develop coping mechanisms and skills and schedules in order to just juggle. Every day looked different. It would be like, do you have her today to like, make sure that she gets into her class, or is it me? Are you going to upload her homework, or am I going to do it? And so on and so forth. So it took a lot of partnering between
Who's
my
gonna take
husband
up
and I.
who's gonna take up different roles, different days based on the structure and the task that you both had. So if you were free at this hour, do this, and if I'm free, I'll do that. And so you had to do a lot of juggling. I understand that's how it went. And what was your daughter's reaction?
Well, I mean, 5-year-olds are unpredictable. They really don't, they act different from one day to the next. And so, that was a lot to deal with as well. And you have a little person, a little human's emotions to deal with as well. So, we're going through this pandemic. We're scared. We're in uncharted territory. We're not seeing friends. We're not seeing anyone. You were working all the time. And can you imagine what this is doing to a small child as well? So, just managing expectations and emotions of a child is on top of your own, and on top of, being a professional and just being yourself. It was really hard. It's like at the end of the day, there were times where you reach a breaking point where you feel like you don't have any place to escape to. You
Mhm.
can't go outside. You don't have those normal, like, get-togethers with friends and things like that. So you don't really have an outlet. So it was, managing all of that was, and then managing a child at the same time. It's challenging.
How are the weekends? Weekends any different?
So the weekends we started to explore lots of things like outdoors. We did like nature walks. We would go outside a lot. We took lots of walks, And, on the upside, it was really nice because, everyday life, the way it was before the pandemic was really hectic. You work your job, you leave at a certain time, you're like rushing to go get your child from childcare. You rush home to make dinner. It forced us to really slow down. It really forced us to look at our lives a little bit differently, stop accumulating so many things and start, being outdoors more, appreciating nature and appreciating the small things. So I think that on the upside felt a little bit more, the light at the end of the tunnel. It was kind of like something more positive that came out of something so horrible.
That's great. So something positive did come out. I think for all the people, it is a tough time going through this, and it's the environment is changing both at home, at work, and outside. Hearing people and our loved ones going through tough times, falling sick, and being victimized to COVID-19. But I think when something positive is also coming out, the light at the end of the tunnel, as you said, we're learning to be more, I would say, you stronger and
Yeah,
trying to understand, like coping up with this situation that we haven't faced in like so many years. So I think it's
right.
definitely, while it's challenging us, it's also bringing something new to our table, which we haven't seen before. That's great. That's great. So when it's talking about wellness for working parents, it's always a very hard thing for working parents to strike a balance between work and the life at home, the work-life balance. So what should be the starting point for wellness for working parents?
That's a very good question. And I've been asking myself that for the last almost 6 years, since my daughter will be 6 this year. So for me, and it's been carving out time for myself. And as I've stated before, I usually do that in the morning. So I started my morning routine. It, it wasn't 6 years ago. It took a while for me to wake up earlier. But what I've noticed is when I wake up a lot earlier and I get in some time for myself. I do some movement, be it yoga, or I get in a run or some sort of workout. I also do meditation after that. And then I try to listen to about as much as I can, some sort of personal development, either a podcast or a book, something that's gonna help me, like, develop myself. I find that I'm a much better wife. I'm a much better mom. I'm a better employee. I'm clear-minded. I've already like set the intent for the day. So my advice to working parents would be, don't just roll out of bed. Like don't let your kids wake you up. That's the worst way to wake up, is because you don't have time to choose how you're going to feel. You're just waking up and you're just kind of like letting the day wash over you. If you set your intentions for the day and have some sort of, like, we pick out our clothes in the morning, we should pick out our thoughts. We should pick out how we're going to feel. We have a much better chance of being, having that time to be mindful and having time for ourselves. We filled our cup. We filled how we're going to feel in our heart for a bit. And then we feel a lot better that when we have to go serve others, when we have to go walk into a meeting, or we have to go, be on for our children, we have to
Being
get
the
them
like,
dressed.
yeah,
Yeah,
very nicely said. So starting point, first work on our own development and our own habits in the morning. So you know how they say the most important thing that you do in the morning is to set your own bed, like make your own bed. And like these little things really matter if you are having a structured in your day, waking up early, having a morning routine, um, using the first few hours of the day to do something that makes you feel accomplished is really sets you off for the rest of the day. So when you walk in to your work and your other work related conferences, you have more confidence and you know that you've done the part that a lot of people are missing out on. As I said, wellness is not just uh, working what we are what we um, are doing most part of our lives, but it's those small things that really matter and comprise the main wellness domain. So that's very good. So that's, you have a morning routine that you are following strictly, and that's very good. So what about the evening routine? A lot of people are also struggling with that.
Yeah, you can't have a good morning routine unless you have a good evening routine. You can't have all of these things set up into place unless you're, laying them out the night before and saying like, what am I doing tomorrow? How does my day start? How does my child's day start? What does it look like? I'm a big planner. I write everything down and it really keeps me in check. It holds me accountable, but it makes me happier when I kind of have a blueprint for the day. So the evening routine, keeping a consistent bath and bedtime for children is very important. We need sleep, but they need sleep too. We're cranky if we don't get that proper amount of sleep. So just making sure that your children are, going to sleep at a reasonable hour. I know God knows how challenging that is, um, especially during these times, but just trying to adhere to different routines and just being really, I don't say strict about it, but just sticking to it.
Hmm. So does it have a trickle down effect? Some evenings are not good. Children are becoming harder than they usually are, and you're not getting enough sleep, and the next morning just goes out of whack. Did that ever happen to you during the pandemic? How was it?
Absolutely. I'd be lying if I were to say that, every day looks the same. Every day looks very different. It depends. Also, it looks different for me too. Some nights I don't sleep well. And sometimes my daughter wakes up in the middle of the night and she has a nightmare. Some nights she doesn't want to go to sleep. She fights us. I know all your parents out there can relate and can really understand that. You become, really good at trying different methods, to get your children to sleep or, so I think what you have to do is just always, just think on your toes and just try new things. But, no day looks the same, especially in a parent's life, it just does not look the same.
So taking one day at a time and right, accepting it as it comes,
Um,
um, not really stressing out on tough days, knowing that there is light at the end of the tunnel, right? So after facing this pandemic, what do you think should be the strategy the way forward for it? How do we cope ourselves after facing this pandemic?
That's a great question. So, obviously hindsight is 2020. Looking back at the things that, had happened in the last year and like, what can we do or what have we learned from that? Um, Again, like schedules and just, trying to adhere, just having some sort of blueprint or plan and then having a backup plan because things don't always go as planned. You can't always expect everything to be, to just go according to the way that you think you're going to go, and just being open and having, just being calm. And the one thing that I've learned in this last year, I had done a lot of meditating before 2020, but sitting in stillness, it's so important. Like a lot of people say, I don't have time. If you don't have time, then you really need to do it. um,
Even
you
5 minutes of meditation has proved to be so beneficial for health and
Yeah.
just to wind down. And I think sometimes just to be calm and composed, organizing your thoughts, I guess, so important that those 5 minutes earlier on the day or before going to bed really helps you there.
Right.
That's
And I think a lot of people are afraid to slow down. I know for myself, I have always been a type A, very productive, always needing to do things, but you need to balance that productiveness with some sort of rest and recharge. You're not going to be any good to anyone or yourself if you don't do that. So the sitting in stillness part has been something that's been learned over the last few years for me. But the benefits have been amazing. I've just been a lot better at, managing stress or not freaking out. You're more creative when you have time to just be quiet. You can hear your thoughts. You're not just racing with the chaos going on around you. So my advice would be, obviously coming out of one of the craziest years that we've known in our history, is to slow down and don't be afraid of that. You're not going to miss out on anything. In fact, I think you're going to, you can't go outward. You need to go inward. You can find everything that you need within. And that would be my advice to
Yeah,
other
that's a
working
very good point.
parents.
That's a very
Sorry.
good point, I guess. Really going and making a journey towards inward rather than reaching out to outward, because as you said, um, going through this one of the toughest times in history that we have faced. It's really not about outwards. I think it was more about inwards that we had to really look at and work on. So that's great. Thank you, Lisa, once again for joining me on Back to Basics and sharing a story of the tough times you have managed to live through during the pandemic, which I'm sure would serve as an inspiration for anyone who's watching this video. How we talked about taking one day at a time, knowing that things might not go as you planned them to be. Slow down and know that the world would still be the same when you return. Um, I will be sharing the link to Lisa's website, www.workinggirlwellness.com. She's doing a great job helping all
It's
the
actually,
busy people.
sorry, it's actually .net. It's
Oh,
.net.
sorry. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I
Thank you
didn't
for
mean to
correcting me
interrupt
there.
you.
Yes,
Yeah.
www.workinggirlwellness.net. She's doing a great job with her experience in corporate sector and really managing both the work and the home life. She's going to help you get to balance your life and ensuring that you are setting healthy boundaries and making sure that living healthy is not difficult, but it is easy and super fun. So all those who are watching this video, please share this video with as many as you can, knowing that it's going to impact millions of lives out there. Also share your comments and feedback. And until next time, take lots of care of yourself because you matter.